of the peak of the highest chat count in all the streams, there lied a mystical think tank with the power to rule all troopers and grinders, lusted by piggies, willing to die for its gift. Before them a war zone awaits, unspeakable predictions, relentless coping, a wasteland of the fallen. But the two predictors waged forward and left hundreds of Tapology Elite members torn apart in their wake to come upon a new weekend. While two emerged goated, there could be only one possible outcome. For one to wield the picks to rule them all. Troopers and grinders, welcome to the SkateTank MMA podcast with me, Hank the Tank, and the chosen one, the Idaho Skatesman. We are here to break down the best of boxing and the mid of UFC for the weekend. I wish we could have both, but unfortunately we didn't this time around, troopers and grinders. It's gotten to the point where I am not going to fucking watch Royval versus Taira as a fight companion. I will be
casual.
Better via. I watch every single UFC show. You can't be telling me that. I'm literally streaming them. I'm doing Beterbiev versus Bivol, damn it, especially with all the new drama that's been churning itself out regarding the main event of that card. And it had a better trailer. So, hey, I'm going to watch the movie with the better trailer. What can I say? So, I'm used to it. But, Skatesman, what do you think about the MMA and combat sports weekend as a whole? What are you going to be watching as opposed to myself?
I'll be watching both, like I always do.
Nice. And, of course, Hank the Tank does not have a choice. Actually, he does have a choice, but he's very obsessive. So, he is going to be watching one of those two shows for you, troopers and grinders. And get ready to watch some more of Oasis live and in living color as they do a big performance stage show concert before the main event starts. That's going to be a real fun time. They might even have a maraca involved. I don't know what they're going to do with the maraca, but they're going to do something.
Will Corey Feldman appear with the Angels?
Yes, and he will appear with the maraca as well, and he's going to tell the Angels to do unspeakable things to him with that maraca. And it's not going to be pretty. He's going to reenact his childhood. It's going to be a mess, troopers and grinders.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's not good. He's going to ask Oasis to do it for him. But we got Beterbiev and Bivol. That's going to be a hell of a fucking scrap between a one-punch power puncher and a very technical decision merchant who just gets the job done every single time.
Well, Beterbiev's not a one-punch power puncher.
Well, he has a lot of power.
I can tell you've never really watched his fights.
Yeah, not really. I was like, doing Ngannou, a boxing, let me tell you.
No, I mean, it's the thing about Beterbiev. I remember the first fight I ever saw of Beterbiev. This guy fucking cut him on the forehead and he was like squirting out blood. And you're like, dude, how the fuck? It was kind of like Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin. Like, he just had this fucking cut that you're just like, dude, they're going to stop this fight. But the difference is that Beterbiev got him out in that same round.
Yeah. Lucky him.
But he's not a one-punch power puncher, but he's just
a dog.
Yeah, like I don't even understand like how he's just so relentless, and it just it's resulted in 100% finishing rate. But again, not like a one-punch knockout guy.
It's someone who still finds a way to get the finish.
Yes.
Right. So more like a Shavkat. Finds a way to get him out of there.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
My terrible comparisons, they continue. But we are here to break down the weekend. I got OKTAGON as one of the regional MMA shows. I'm sure that Skatesman has something to say regarding Rise as well as a Thai Fight League. I don't know if we'll get to Thai Fight League, but might get to Rise. And
well, the thing about Rise and Thai Fight League is nobody, like, I don't even know who the fuck is on that. But I just love kickboxing. And tomorrow is Dynamite Fight Show. I would have loved to cover it, but it's at noon my time, and it's in Romania. So, but I'm gonna make a commitment to just watch more kickboxing, give you guys more kickboxing coverage as I learn more about the sport. So
sounds good to me. Whatever floats your boat, Skatesman, or whatever half pipe you go through. But,
and there's no Friday fights tomorrow.
Wow, that's a travesty, man.
Yeah, Thai holiday, I guess.
Okay. Well, Chatri, he saw it was getting too popular, so he just pulled the plug on it.
Hey, I think they do 50 shows of Friday fights a year. So,
also, as an extra bit of MMA news, Sean Moody, he had to delete Discord on his phone, but he does have it, in fact, on his tablet. which is absolutely crazy. And we are live, No Chill. We are live. Thank you for tuning into the Skate Tank podcast at frickin' 12 o'clock at night in Eastern time. But we had to do it because Idaho Skatesman and Hank the Tank as well are very busy with ourselves. And so we had to push it back just a little bit more. So bear with us, troopers and guards. And by the way, we usually get our streams done at 10. Okay, guys? You can tune in for a little bit, okay? First half, Opinions on Rigo versus Pat Barry. You put Rigo and Pat Barry in a room. They're not coming out. In a closet.
Maybe they'll be coming out with some charges.
That is true. They'll get charged, all right, with crimes against humanity. But first, let's bring up my one lock and my one underdog that I got for regional MMA this weekend. We are traveling back to Frankfurt, Germany for OKTAGON MMA. And we got a very reliable here with Max Holzer taking on Mohammed Sadok Trabelsi. I'm going with Holzer by standard trademark round 2 submission. Reliable Max Holzer always gets the job done by round 2 sub. I've picked him to do so before, and that's exactly what he's done. So I'm doubling down by picking the exact same guy with the exact same method. His opponent, Mohammed Sadok Trabelsi, has been steamrolled by guys with even records, and all of his other wins have either been tune-up fights or fluke injuries. Holzer is nothing else, if nothing else, inconsistent against solid competition like Corey Fry and Mohammed Walid. I think I've picked a fight with Corey Fry recently. So I'm going to pick him to be consistent and find his patented second round sub. OKTAGON's got a winner in this kid. I love everything about this kid. No Diddy. So that is what I'm going with for my lock. And then let's move up a little bit for my big underdog I got for OKTAGON. I am picking Lazar Todev against Adam Palaz by
Pretty
decision.
cool name.
It is a good one. This guy, Adam Palaz, lost to Lazar Todev by unanimous decision less than 2 years ago. And now they're going at it again. And Todev's still the underdog, for fuck's sake. Betting line underdog. When will these people learn? I don't know. It seems just based on Palaz and Todev's measurements in their first fight. Todev was much lighter than his opponent. No Diddy and no Jones and no Dana as well. Which made him more quick and likely more technical than him the first time around. And if neither man is really changing their training regimens, routines, or fight styles going into the rematch, I think we see the same result. And Todev does better work on the feet and the ground given his recent finishes for another dominant decision win. People need to look at these fighters' records more often on Tapology, but they never really do. So unless it's in the UFC, and then they just remember all the rematches. Oh, we got Big Red here in the Skate Tank MMA chat. Bautista is the platinum edition of Royval, who is the silver edition of Jonathan Martinez.
That's a really weird way to get there. But
yeah,
thank you for being here nonetheless, Dylan.
I think it's like a Russian doll where it's just the little things inside the big things inside of the big things. That's a riddle inside of a mystery.
Like a doll?
Yeah, exactly. What is up, Rob's neighbor, a new member of the Skate Tank MMA chat who was here for Hank's Think Tank, and he stuck around after Guru. So thank you for sticking around. We provide almost daily streams, so you will not be lacking any content for the rest of your life. Random, no counter at 1 for 3.
I mean, that's just lazy, Sean. Do better.
Boo! You got to do 1 for Diddy. Got to do 1 for Jones.
Yeah. No, it's actually been 2 no Diddies, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. 2.
Yeah, that's a coverage of OKTAGON nobody cares about except for Isha and a few other people in the City Life Project.
Yeah, literally, I asked him in the chat. He was covering a hockey game, Minnesota Wild, of course. And I was like, what are you looking more forward to? Beterbiev versus Bivol or Royval versus Taira? He's like, fuck both of them, Hank. I'm watching OKTAGON. That's the one to watch. Yeah! So, very interesting perspective from Isha.
Look, I love my man Isha, but you just get to this point in your hardcore MMA fandom where you're just going, dude, OKTAGON this weekend. Like,
that's a
I think someday Isha will get a girlfriend.
One of these days. Not now, but
no.
Eventually. Someone to just loosen him up a little.
Yeah, the points remain. They are the same guy, different increments of skill. Well,
I don't see
Royval. Surprised that you don't do any drugs, Dylan. But
I don't see Royval leaning against people.
I don't even know what he's talking about. But you know what?
Jonathan Martinez ain't doing that shit. So there you go. That's it. That's it for regional MMA. Thank you,
It's
Lord.
like what is that shit in film? Like the 5 layers of Kevin Bacon or 5 degrees of separation.
Yes, the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I'm sure he could make that analogy work somehow. But anyway, so we're gonna talk about Bivol and Beterbiev first, or Royval and Moreno?
Actually, I have more detailed picks for UFC fight night, so maybe we could get to that last.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because I have Beterbiev and Bivol pulled up.
Go for it.
So just browsing the card. Looks pretty good. Oh, Paradox, what's up? He said he wants good picks. Don't let Chad down. I mean, we got some all right picks. I don't know.
Yeah, we are top 10 in our Tapology League every single time. So
I think you were like, I was 10 and you were like 14 last time. But anyway, whatever. Out of 50 people, and everybody in there is fucking solid at making picks. So
yes.
So I mean, I'm sure you have made picks for every fight on the card. Am I right?
Yes, I have.
All right. So why don't you? I'm not gonna make picks for every fight on the card because I don't care about every fight on the card. But why don't you tell us?
All right, so yeah, this is one of their mandatory fights with one opponent from the region that the show is taking place at.
4 rounds. Boo.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's a tune-up fight for him, his debut fight, and he's taking on Chuck Norris, which is honestly a really tough matchup. He gave Bruce Lee a run for his money, but unfortunately, I don't think Chuck Norris has ever boxed. He's tried every other mixed martial art, but he's never boxed. So I think that Alakel is just going to beat the shit out of him over 4 rounds. Maybe not even have a dominant performance, but it's just Gonzalez has just had a 0-2. So he's losing to everybody, including a guy with the 0-0 record. So this is clearly a wash and a squash match that they're trying to get over their local talent. And I think he's going to deliver. They usually do. So it is what it is. Let's move on to next one. Oh boy, it's Ariel Helwani's favorite boxer.
No, you gotta do the thing.
Oh yeah, Skye Nicholson. What do you mean, Jay? She has to call out every single island of Oceania, and she was born everywhere, man. She's had several parents, and he was almost robbed that one time, guys. Are you kidding me?
And I'm on Yahoo Sports now.
Skye Nicholson, she's going to be on the first episode of the Ariel Helwani show after she gets her big knockout decision win. You know, same thing. She has a lot of power in her fist, guys. She's going to be here on Monday for the premiere of the Ariel Helwani show. What do you think of her, New York, Rick? Yeah, on my trip to Australia, I just bumped into her, Ariel. I don't know what to say. We were both going for the same bag, and our eyes
Who gives a fuck about Skye Nicholson?
And that's when we met, Ariel. And that's when I introduced her to you. I secretly have a crush on Skye Nicholson, you guys. I would give up my wife and kids for her, even for the Buffalo Bills.
Ariel Helwani's wife is actually like not bad looking.
She's not, but
have you ever seen her?
She's no Skye Nicholson, Skatesman.
Oh my god!
I'd rather watch a game of rugby than Buffalo Bills if it means talking to her.
Have you ever seen Ariel Helwani's wife?
I have. She is a bombshell.
She's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. But still, you guys, I don't care if the USA beat Australia in rugby.
All right. Jeez, come on, dude.
Okay, anyway, enough of that shit. Skye Nicholson. A lot of people are picking Raven Chapman against her, but I don't see it, guys. I see you're getting that interview on the Ariel Helwani show. So I think she's technical. She's good on the back foot. Even though she lacks power, I feel like her technique's just overall better than Raven Chapman. She can talk up a big game and be like, oh, I'm going to change the guard of women's boxing. But how often do you see that happen? I don't see it very often. I think Chapman's coming in for a scrap, and Nicholson's not going to let her. I think she's just going to piece her up at range for as long as this thing lasts and maybe get a split. You know, you know the way these things goes with women's boxing fights sometimes. They're wacky decisions. I mean, boxing in general has wacky decisions, but I think Skye Nicholson's just going to outpoint her to get the decision. I don't think she's getting chinned at any point in this contest. It's a coming out party. Also, it's interesting. I will say the one interesting thing about this fight, I think it's the first female boxing fight in the Middle East.
Oh, so this is actually taking place in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia? Let me actually check that. I think so.
Okay. So Sean says everyone loves Raven. You got your references mixed up, but yeah, that's so Raven to lose to Skye Nicholson. There's my
Everybody,
attempt at a joke.
I know everybody loves Raymond.
Well, that's cool. At least there's a women's fight happening in Saudi Arabia, I guess.
It's
I don't
taking
know.
place in Kingdom Arena. Is that Saudi Arabia?
In Riyadh.
Yeah. All right, so that is Saudi Arabia. So there you go.
Yeah, whatever. The next fight. Sorry, but I just don't care.
I know. It's a mercy.
Whatever. Good. I mean, that's cool. They're making history, but jeez.
Well, you know they're going to have the fucking arm guards that they have to wear because we see that in MMA fights. Like they're not.
What?
Well, as we've seen in MMA fights and in wrestling, when they go to Saudi Arabia, the women have to put on arm coverings because if they don't, they're sort of letting loose skin, which is not very.
That's weird because remember the first Riyadh season show in Riyadh when they had that whole concert and there was like a woman dancing like provocatively.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Anyway, so the next fight will be Ben Whittaker. If you don't know anything about Ben Whittaker, the dude is entertaining to watch. A lot of people are pissed because he kind of clowns around a lot, but I feel like that's just his style, right?
That's why he's over.
Yeah, right. And so like and a lot of people have said he's like this era's like Prince Nassim, just in the way that he just is like super flashy. I'm not sure what to think about Ben Whittaker. I like his fights. I like what he does in there. He does a lot of stupid shit that's like, dude, just punch the guy. So he's pretty young in his career, 6-0. Some English fucking guy. Got wins over a bunch of cab drivers. Who cares? But the next cab driver that he's taking on, Liam Cameron, Cannonball, lost a split decision to Lyndon Arthur. If you don't know who Lyndon Arthur is, that's the guy that stepped up when Bivol was supposed to fight Beterbiev last time their match was scheduled like a month or two ago. And he was like some cab driver that they got to step in for Beterbiev and gave Bivol his first knockout in like 8 years.
Wow. That's right. I remember that because they were supposed to fight each other and then whoop, he's gone. As the replacement opponent.
So if this fucking can got beat by that guy by split, Ben Whittaker, it's hard to say, man, because he's so young in his career. You'd like to see a knockout. I mean, you can see like decision, and then a KO 8 months ago. So he's very active. This is a 10-rounder. So I do like Ben Whittaker's chances of getting a knockout here. I'll say like round 7 knockout for Ben Whittaker.
Yeah, I'm just a little more pessimistic, and I'll just go with his patterns and how he's chosen to fight his fights for the last couple of them. I think he's going to win by decision, but I think it will be a dominant decision. Like you said, the guy that he's facing was beaten by a complete tomato can, and it's clear that this guy. I mean, some people in boxing media are saying that this is a step up for Ben Whittaker, but I don't know. I think in terms of skill level and
yeah, and I think they're saying that just because the guy's got 29 fights against the guy who has 6 fights.
But experience doesn't equal quality, especially.
Sure, no, I think, but in that regard, it is a step up, and I also think this is his first 10-rounder because I think his last fight was 8 rounds.
So this is lengthening the amount of time that he has to be in the ring. Maybe for that reason, he does try to get his opponent out of there. But at the same time, I just think his style is way more tuned towards countering at range and
sure, that's a good point.
And be doing distance point fighting. And I think Whittaker's becoming very comfortable with that style. Also, like if he tries to go in for a KO and gets hurt himself, like he won't get to fight again, at the end of the year or the start of next year. So maybe he wants to play it safe and get another easy paycheck. But
sure,
we'll see. Yeah. I've got him by decision, but it could very well be a KO. I'm rooting for a KO because I'm going to be the one fucking watching this shit. So we better get a KO, but I'm going to be more pessimistic and go with him.
So the next fight is Jai Opetaia versus Jack Massey. Jai Opetaia, I mean, this guy had so much hype behind him. Was putting on great performances, getting knockouts, just looking like the dude. And then he had that fight with Marius Bradis, a longtime cruiserweight. I think he's been the champ for a minute. or like was one of the champs WBA, whatever fucking trinket belt you want to call it. And he's like an older guy. I think he's like 40 something.
Right.
Had a fight with Jai Opetaia in his last fight, and let me tell you, man, that fight was good, but it was damn fucking close. And Jai Opetaia got hurt many times to the point where, and especially later in the fight, to where you could have probably given Marius the decision. And it was just a really tough battle. So I don't know anything about his opponent, Jack Massey. Just quickly browsing through his last 5 fights, a year and 8 months ago, he did lose a decision to Joseph Parker. Now, Joseph Parker, not like a knockout guy, not a huge puncher, but a quality boxer that's probably had his best run within the time he's beaten this guy. Obviously, he's a cruiserweight. I don't know if that fight was at heavyweight or if Jack Massey fought at heavyweight or if Joseph Parker fought at cruiserweight, which, to be fair, Joseph Parker is like kind of a smaller heavyweight, so it wouldn't surprise me if he was once a cruiserweight. So again, I don't know anything about his opponent. I guess the question heading into this is, was the Marius Bredas fight did it take a toll on Jai Opetaia, or did it teach him some new things to where he's gonna come back reinvigorated, right?
Yeah. Good question.
So I guess in that regard, it's a tough fight to pick as far as the method, but I think that Jai Opetaia wins this one handily. I don't think he has a lot of problems, but it'll just be interesting to see how he looks coming back from that very tough fight with Marius Bredas, who is, again, was a champion in the weight class, just like a top guy at cruiserweight, no doubt about it.
Yeah. I am going with Opetaia by round 6 TKO. I was looking at how people were picking this fight, and this is one of the very few fights on this card where people were saying, "Oh no, he's gonna get a KO in this one."
Okay.
So I found that very interesting.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
Well, you got to ask Jerry Seinfeld. Who are these people? What is the deal? But yeah, it just seems like the guys that Massey has been fighting are just not on the level of the guys that Jai Opetaia has beaten. And the one guy that actually had some skill in Joseph Parker just absolutely fucking whooped him. So I just think that he's dealt with way more technical guys. He was getting nothing but knockouts before that unanimous decision in his last fight. I think he does have power there. And I think he's also taller and has a longer reach than his opponent as well. So again, it's another case of Massey wanting to make this a scrap. And Opetaia, I think, is just way more of a sniper, and he has better accuracy than his opponent. So it's going to be brawler versus sniper. I think the sniper is going to win it. And eventually, you got to get to some point in the card where someone's going to get a knockout. So I think that Opetaia is going to find it sort of. Some people have it earlier. I'm going to have it a little later in the fight just because Opetaia, he has gone to some decisions, but I think he still has that power, and I think he has the technical ability to sting him with something that puts him out.
So you don't think that the Marius Bredas very tough fight that he could have arguably lost plays into this fight at all?
Oh, who? Jai Opetaia?
Yes.
It could, but I don't think that Massey's on the level of that opponent you just mentioned.
Oh, it was only 4 months ago, and Jai Opetaia got dropped a couple times in that fight.
That's true, but it seems to me like people are just thinking that Massey's just not the same kind of boxer that was giving Opetaia problems. I don't know. This could very well be a fraud check. This could be a big upset. I mean, especially when fucking Mark Chamberlain is getting upset.
No, I'm just trying to say, he had a really, really tough fight 4 months ago. Quality opponent or not, I just wonder what he looks like heading in. That's why I'm a little uncertain. That's why I'm going by decision. Yeah. But no, I do understand what you're saying. You think that he's just kind of, and I agree. I think this is just a bounce back fight for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really curious to see how he looks in there as well.
I guess I'm just going with the mentality of people thinking this will be a bounce back with a nice finish. So I'm going with the public. I'll go in with what the public wants, and I think he's gonna find a finish this time around.
So our next fight is son of a legend, Chris Eubank Jr.
He's just
by the way, Chris Eubank is much better than him.
Good to see you, Jesus. Nice to see you.
Yeah, what's up, man? Telling people to hit the like. Love that shit.
I am space.
So you can see that Kamil Szeremeta is a huge underdog, plus 1,400. So Chris Eubank, he was looking all right, not great, and then he went over and he started training with Roy Jones. He went on a little win streak, Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah,
and when you could see that like he was trying to adapt his style. Okay. There was supposed to be a fight with him and Connor Ben, which if you don't know anything about
I've heard
Chris
the name.
Eubank Sr. and Nigel Ben, they had just one of the best fights in British boxing history in the 90s. So that was like a really hyped up fight. And then Connor Ben tests positive for steroids.
There
Chris
you go.
Eubank Jr. has to kind of rethink what he's doing. And he takes that fight with Liam Smith. Older guy. And again, like just that Roy Jones style that he was trying to adapt got him caught. You know, he wasn't defensively sound. He got knocked out by Liam Smith.
This guy, Chris Eubank, actually fought a guy named Liam Williams before he faced Liam Smith. So,
well, there's lots of Liams, and
yeah,
I mean,
and now he's dealing with Kamil. Well, if you
So
like arrange the letters the right way, it could be Liam as well. So.
That's hilarious. So you've never watched either of these guys fight?
I have not watched them fight, but I did watch people break down how they fight.
Okay, so that's the thing though, is like Chris Eubank training with Roy Jones made him like, because like we even saw with Roy Jones, like his style only works for him, and it only works up until a certain point because it's just based on like inhuman reflexes, right?
Yeah, right.
So I don't think that Chris Eubank Jr. is training with Roy Jones anymore. And to be fair, like I've never thought that he was anything good. So he gets a bounce back match against Liam Smith. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But so this Kamil Szeremeta guy, I remember I saw the first Triple G fight I saw was him and Szeremeta.
Big drama.
And it was weird because, like, obviously it was one of those fights where you're like, okay, this is like just an unwarranted title shot. And Triple G got him out of there. He quit on his stool. And then he gets a fight with Jaime Munguia after that. Same thing happens. So,
yeah.
Is Chris Eubank like on the level of Jaime Munguia and Triple G a few years ago? Definitely not.
Not at all.
I think that Kamil is a serviceable guy for the first half of the fight, but the second half of the fight, now he's 35.
How old is
at
in comparison?
What's that?
How old is Chris Eubank in comparison?
Let's see how old he is. Oh, he's 35 as well.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, man. This is a kind of a weird fight for me. I think Chris Eubank, he's never like reached the commercial success that he should have, in my opinion. I think that Liam Smith fight was for a title, like some weird random title. So middleweight sucks. It is what it is. You probably go with Chris Eubank to get it done. If he does, probably if it is a knockout, probably in the later half. But I'm just gonna go safe and go decision for Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, I am going with Eubank Jr. by round 3 TKO. I got him getting out of there early just because I've looked over Kamil's record, and he has never faced a guy with 20 wins. He's faced like 10-5, 17-3. He went to
he fought Triple G and Jaime Munguia.
Yes, but that was like way back. Now he's facing nothing but tin cans and guys with way smaller records. So,
but you can't say he's never fought a guy with more than 20 fights.
As of late, he hasn't been. He's been fighting guys of a way lower level who are like, came off like a knockout loss, and then they still find a way to beat Kamil. Whereas Chris Eubank has dealt with another guy with like 30 wins who is way more experienced and who was able to win the rematch. I just don't think that Kamil's going to be any threat. Given that you've seen more Kamil boxing fights, he could get him out of there way later in the fight. But I just think that there's going to be a difference in technicality between the two of these guys. And I think that Chris Eubank is in a really good spot at this stage in his career. Like
either way, like I've never been super impressed with Chris Eubank Jr. I wanted to see that Connor Ben fight. That would have been a sick fight just for the legacy of it. Their dads fought, and then seeing them get in there would have been sick. But
I just don't think he's going to be ready for the sudden jump back up in competition.
No, I'm just saying, like, I've never been super high on Chris Eubank Jr., so even if he does knock out Szeremeta, like,
that doesn't mean anything. Right.
Right. That's why this fight kind of sucks. But at the same time, like, I think they're just trying to set up other shit in the
Yeah.
future.
You got to have a few finishes on this card, right? That are destined to happen. Or at least it's going to be a one-sided beating. Even though, again, with that fucking Joshua and Dubois boxing card, nothing is guaranteed, even in boxing.
So the next fight will be Fabio Wardley versus Frazer Clarke. Number 2. I watched this fight, man. The first fight. Oh my gosh. Did you watch this fight? The first fight?
I heard from people that it was fucking incredible.
Man, you gotta watch more boxing. But hey, credit to you. You're gonna cover this card. Love it. This is like my fight of the year for sure. Was their first fight. Ended in a draw. Fabio Wardley was kind of like the overwhelming favorite heading in. Frazer Clarke was like an afterthought. And for the first half of the fight, it seemed to be going that way, right? And then for the first half of the fight, it was a shocker because Frazer Clarke was beating the hell out of Fabio Wardley, cut him, dropped him. And then Fabio Wardley like had this rally where he just came back and he dropped Frazer. Down goes Frazer.
Down goes Frazer.
Yeah,
Wardley in the neutral corner.
Yeah, thanks for doing the impression immediately after I did it. But
I had to
anyway.
do part 2.
Part 2, just like this fight. So
yes,
it was just kind of a shocker. But in my opinion, it showed that this guy Fabio Wardley is the real deal. I'm gonna pick him to win. Fuck. By knockout.
Wow.
I mean, I'm debating. Like I'm making my picks right off the cuff, so it's like, man, I have no idea. I'm gonna go safe, go decision.
Right.
I know that. See, like the rematch is never as good as the first one. Now, when you're talking about a heavyweight trilogy, I know this is the second fight, but like Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe, that's like a 3-fight stretch that's always good, no matter what. Pick any 3 you want. My personal favorite's the Fan Man, but but so I don't know if this is gonna live up to the hype of their first fight. Dude, what's up, Granite? Good to see you, my good friend Granite. If you guys like fight breakdowns and fight coverage, go sub to his channel. The guy's always grinding, doing like 3-hour shows. So
crazy.
And not only that, he gives out good, solid life advice. My man's lived a life to talk about, so go check him out. But yeah, like I don't know if this fight's gonna live up to the hype. In that case, it could be a little more tentative from both guys. Maybe they'll go at it harder. To me, there's no real way to tell. All I know is that Fabio Wardley heading into the fight was an overwhelming favorite. He looked terrible in the first half, but he came back. That shows me that the guy's resilient, and I'm going to ride with him.
And I am going the opposite way and picking Frazer Clarke by decision. It's almost exactly like how you broke the fight down, their first fight.
Yeah, because I actually watched the fight.
You watched it, exactly. And from what I was hearing, people were saying that Frazer was doing most of the good work throughout this fight, and then Wardley was able to have the power to knock him down in a few moments and bring it back. But then it went to a very close decision, and Wardley.
It was a draw.
It was a draw, and so now we're here. And most people who are boxing predictors are saying like, whenever there's a rematch, go with the guy who's able to play the long game over the guy who's like gonna come back with like a crazy KO suddenly. Like they were just saying the guy who was doing most of the good work throughout the first fight usually gets the job done in the second fight. So I'm going with the guy who is most likely to be like consistent throughout the fight over the guy who's like reliant on getting a big knockdown to like turn the tide. So and also apparently Frazer Clarke and his team have been like looking over tape of the first fight, and a more technical guy I think is going to find more holes in Wardley's game. And be able to maybe take a different approach where he has a better striking defense.
Is that news? Is that news though? Like, hey, there's a rematch and the guy's been looking at tape like, no shit.
Yeah, but
duh. Like,
well, I think the guy it was pretty good right out of the gate is going to be able to notice more gaps than the guy who he was beating up. So I think
I like that because dude, this fight is sick. I love that it's the co-main event of a big card. Are they still doing the thing where they're airing like part of the card on Top Rank, and then the other like just one fight is the pay-per-view portion? Do you know about that? Because Shakur Stevenson was supposed to be on this card, and he was supposed to be the main event for Top Rank. And then I don't know if they switched it after he pulled out or what, but
I think
regardless, it's a big spot. It's a fucking fantastic fight. Their first
you're
one.
right, because it says preliminary card days in U.S. broadcast ESPN Plus. So that should be like the one half is this service, the other half is.
I think that just the pay-per-view portion, just the one fight, is on DAZN.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that the rest of the card will be on Top Rank. So this is technically the main event for Top Rank. And again, I have no idea because I know that was the plan when Shakur Stevenson was still on the card.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, what's up, AJ?
Lord, that he's not on this fucking card.
Yeah, people shit all over Shakur's last couple fights have been boring. We don't have to get into a whole discussion about it, but
you
can't deny that the guy is good at boxing.
Yes, he is, no doubt. I'm just saying that it's an entertainment experience. I'm happy that he's gone. So.
Understood. But yeah, no, it's good that we have a different decision too. On who's gonna win. Yeah. I love it. This is a big time fight. People are sleeping on this fight. Oh, Granite says the whole main card will be on Top Rank.
Oh, there you
good
go.
breakdown. Hell yeah. Cool. Okay, thank you. But yeah, either way, big time fight, big time rematch. I love it. I love that we have different opinions. I hope it's just a good fight. I hope that it lives up to the hype and it can be, somewhat of what the last fight was. Because for me, that was fight of the year.
I actually have a question for you, Skatesman. Regarding Stevenson's booking, what do you think?
Oh God.
What do you think is the best place for him when it comes to like weekend boxing cards? Like, would it have been a success if he was on this card in the co-main event? Do you think that was wise of them, or should he have been more on like a Friday boxing card?
Gosh, dude, I don't know. The real problem is we have Teofimo Lopez, we have Tank Davis, we have Esau Cruz is now even in the mix there, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Shakur. And the only guys that have fought each other is Ryan's fought Tank and Devin.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, this doesn't really answer your question, but it's like he should be fighting one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And if he's not fighting one of those guys, who fucking cares? He's going to fight a guy that knows that Shakur only comes to counterpunch, and it's going to be a tentative match because when you saw Shakur's fight with Oscar Valdez, that fight was fucking amazing. And Shakur gave him a fucking boxing lesson. It was a sick fight. But ever since then, people have kind of figured out, like, hey, don't move forward on Shakur because he's going to just counterpunch you to death. And so they're being tentative. His fight with Edwin De Los Santos was like the least amount of punches thrown in a championship fight recorded, to this day. So as far as that goes, if they're going to book him against a guy that nobody gives a shit about, put it on a Thursday. Like they have been, right? Main event of a fucking Thursday. I don't have a problem with him being co-main event or, even third fight down on a big card.
And if you have him and Tank, like you got to put that on a big.
But that's the whole problem is like these guys won't fucking fight each other. They won't fight each other.
Boxing, right?
And you know what? Like for as much as I shit on Ryan Garcia, like that guy actually fought Devin and fucking Tank. So that's what's up. But anyway, we're kind of going off on a tangent. The main event of this card has been in the works for 3 years. It kind of reminds me of the time when Crawford versus Spence was being built up, which was even longer. They were champions in their respective division, they were champions at welterweight for about 5 years before they actually made the fight. So this is another one of those fights, man. It's been about 3 years. This fight's been building. On one end, you got Arthur Beterbiev, 100% finishing rate. Again, not a one-punch power puncher, but just a fucking straight-up dog in there. Always finds a way to get it done. And then you have Bivol, like masterclass boxer of the Soviet style. Beat the shit out of Canelo is where he really got his name. And a guy that at times like leaves us feels like he could do more in a fight. I truly believe that this fight will bring out the best in both men. But at the end of the day, all right, hold on. Let me read some of these comments. Tank's gonna hurt them all, says Granite. He my man loves Tank. Crawford sparring with Mike Tyson for Disney Boy fight.
Yeah, he needs all the help he can get.
Ryan, yes, credit Fought back-to-back Devin and Tank. I agree. It's hilarious because Juiceman hates boxing.
Talking about boxing right now.
Yeah.
He's having a civil conversation about it. That's fucking crazy.
Beterbiev within 11 rounds, 3 years late. Nice. Juiceman's got Bivol. I watched tape. Bivol going to sleep.
Ooh.
Look at their last 5 breaks. You hit hard with both hands. Beterbiev will break him. All right, there you go. Beterbiev accustomed to the Soviet style from the amateurs. Yeah, so the thing heading into this fight, and look, my heart says Beterbiev, my brain says Dmitry Bivol. Okay, I want Beterbiev to knock out Bivol for more than just the fact that Bivol goes to the decisions. Of course, he beat Lyndon Arthur on short notice in his last fight. Big fucking whoop. Throw me in there with Bivol. He's gonna knock me out in 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like whatever, maybe even sooner. So it's like
I think he'll grind you out to a decision. He'll have you against.
I seriously hope not. But Beterbiev is the more exciting fighter. Bivol probably has a bigger name since beating Canelo, but you gotta love the guy's skill that he brings to the table, right? If you like fights and you like I think that Beterbiev might be one of the best guys. If you're like talking to an MMA fan who wants to get into boxing, you say, "Hey, watch a fucking Beterbiev fight," because it's always a fight. I have a hard time actually picking Beterbiev because of the fact right here. Bivol's 33 and Beterbiev's 39. That's the only reason that I have a hard time picking Artur Beterbiev. Though, again, I want him to win. And I'm not saying anything shocking. If Beterbiev wins, probably going to be a knockout. If Bivol wins, probably be a decision. So
yeah, this one's an easy one to like.
Whatever you fancy. Again, I would love to see Beterbiev get a knockout. For the sake of this show, I probably should pick him by knockout, but I'm going to pick Bivol by decision. I just can't pick any other way. I think it's the safest way to go. And they're shitting all over me for this one. Everyone says Bivol, says Granite. Well, yeah, I mean, duh. And
everybody says
it says near even. He is a slight favorite. But yeah, I mean, from a betting standpoint, obviously you're going to go with the younger guy. But again, that's just my pick. I would love to see Beterbiev get a knockout. I'm rooting for that. But just as far as my pick and prediction, I have to pick Dmitry Bivol.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Beterbiev too, especially with that fucking shit with Bivol's ex-wife that we've been seeing over the last couple of days, where he basically refused to pay for her children. What a fucking asshole! If it's true, we can't make assumptions here, but if true, yeah, he's an asshole. And she also gave apparently Beterbiev a bunch of advice regarding some potential injuries that Bivol has and some holes in his game, but I doubt that's going to matter here. I think Bivol, he's just so good at gaining momentum in his fights, and once he's like sort of figured your style out a little bit, and he can put you up against those ropes, like it's really hard to counter him and bring the fight back into your favor. I think it's going to either be an early knockout from Beterbiev, or it's going to be as soon as Bivol like is able to make it past round 4, round 5. I think this is mostly going to be his game for the rest of the fight. Also, we need to mention that even on top of being 39 years old, I think Beterbiev had like knee surgery or hip surgery recently.
Yeah, I think that's why he was out of the fight. It was like ACL. It was something to do with his leg.
On the ACL, mate. So he's coming off an injury and likely a surgery going into this fight. So who knows if his footwork is going to be the same as his last fight before Bivol. I think that's another X factor to consider. And I just think Bivol's game is too consistent, and Beterbiev really needs to find that chin in order to put him out. I don't think he's going to beat him by decision. He very rarely does. Bivol, he was able to beat Canelo, and it wasn't just through like, oh, he outmuscled him. Like, I think he had a great game plan going into that fight as well. And I think he's going to have a great game plan going into this fight with Beterbiev. I think he's got good boxing IQ.
I honestly don't even rate the Canelo win very high.
That is true. But at the same time, I think he has been able to grind out decisions. And if you're able to grind out decisions and survive like 12 rounds with a guy, like, and you're there's never really a moment where you're in trouble, I think you're just pretty good at boxing in general and staying in there, like surviving for all those rounds and dominating. So I think he's just.
Let me ask you a question. And I know that you're not like super accustomed to, boxing What's Dmitry Bivol's best win against a light heavyweight?
Let me take a look at his record real quick. Because if I look at the record, I think I can stumble upon what was his best win. Let me take a look really quick. Oops. Here we go. Looking at his career, running it down. God damn it. Fuck you, Red Lobster. What the fuck?
Well,
Oh, 23-0. Okay, there we go. There's Malik Zinad, who gives a fuck. Lyndon Arthur, the great Lyndon Arthur, who he beat. Gilberto Ramirez, Alvarez. God, look at all those fucking unanimous decisions. How about Gilberto Ramirez?
See, that's what I knew you were going to say that. The problem with Zurdo is no one ever fucking heard about Zurdo. He was like 40-something-0 heading into that fight. Oh, the Rocky Marciano, 49-0. Can Zurdo be the guy? Zurdo. This guy is a fucking can. He never fought anybody of fucking note. Fuck Zurdo. He's a fake. Just like Jaime Munguia, 42-0, fighting fucking literally nobody. No. So one thing I will say that makes me tentative picking Bivol is like Arthur Beterbiev has fought the mainstays of the light heavyweight division. He's actually fucking fought those guys and finished them. Okay. Dmitry Bivol, his record's shit. It sucks. He hasn't ever fought anybody at light heavyweight that's like was the guy. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that just the belt that he has, like he was taking like mandatories. Artur Beterbiev was collecting more belts and just doing the grimy work, like doing the work in the trenches. And Bivol was kind of just taking the fights as they came. So that's the one thing that I go, hey, you know what, Beterbiev, man, like he has a much better resume and finishing those fucking guys. So if Bivol fought those guys, I'm not saying that he wouldn't beat them, but I'm just saying that Beterbiev has done the better work in the weight class.
Right.
So that is one thing that makes me kind of go, Bivol's record kind of shitty as far as light heavyweights go. Of course, he beat Canelo, but to me, again, it's like, I don't know. The fight wasn't very good. He did beat the shit out of Canelo. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But I think the judges had it like 7-5. It's like, dude, Canelo won like 2 rounds of that whole fucking fight. He handily beat him.
Credit. Yep. Even in losses. But
the
guy who correctly predicted Daniel Dubois to beat Anthony Joshua when I was researching that fight,
Rumy's Corner.
He also predicted Bivol to win by decision. And he had first picked Beterbiev as well, so he actually switched his picks.
How many Rumy's Corner videos have you watched?
I watched like 4 or 5.
I watched every single video he's ever came out with for 3 years. That guy's shitty at picking fights. He's so bad at predicting fights. Well, when he gets them right, though, he gets them right on the nose.
Yeah. The nose. But a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. I do agree. Talking boxing, because I absolutely agree with Skate About Hank. Canelo don't even do that. As soon as he gets mopped by Bivol, he took a 40-plus trilogy all late with Triple G. That's good, extensive boxing knowledge right there, Juiceman. Bivol is that Olympic Russian style? Yes. That's why he's not able to finish his fights. Bivol by decision, trust. Bivol got pillow fists. Well, he didn't show it against that one guy earlier this year.
I mean, that was on late notice. I don't even
guys. Totally. Either pick ain't a bad pick. That is true. It is a super fight. And wait, you know the history of this Skatesman, and they said this in one of the trailers for the fight. This is the first time they're fighting for a truly undisputed title at light heavyweight since. Who was it? There was another fight for an
Leon Neon Spinks versus. Oh fuck! Who was it? I know that Leon Spinks was in it. Fuck. Damn it! Now I feel bad. I don't remember. But I just know that Leon Spinks actually won the undisputed title in that match.
Always go against the grain. Leaders, not followers. Yeah, but sometimes the leaders are right when they're picking fights. Okay. The boxing guru, 93%. Oh, there's a boxing guru now.
Look. Granted, I love you, and he is good at picking fights, but And look, 93% is fantastic, but when you're picking like overwhelming favorites to get it done, to me, that's not impressive.
Yeah, it's obvious.
But
yeah,
shout out to that record. That's what's up.
it's the big main event fights that you get right that matter. I'd like to see his pick rate for that. So did Pereira. Pereira did something apparently, but Bivol is just not ready. I think he's more than ready. Bivol's not ready for Beterbiev. Holy shit, they're going back and forth here. He knocked out Callum Smith, who never hit the floor once. They're talking about Beterbiev?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got power. Canelo ain't nothing. Bivol should beat him. Bivol should beat Canelo. Okay. I hope that Bivol wins, so Canelo's next opponent is either him, so he gets beat up again, or for sure it's Benavidez.
Dude,
so
people like gotta get off Canelo's dick, dude. Like I just don't get it.
specifically, Juiceman needs to get off. What's the pick, gentlemen? We are both going with Dmitry Bivol by decision. As soon as he finds his rhythm against Beterbiev, I think that fight's pretty much over. I don't think it's going to be back and forth. I want Crawford to hurt Canelo. Probably not going to happen. Hard for anybody to hurt him. If not, Benavidez. Gotti. You move on Gotti. I'm taking Morel over Benavidez. Is that a fight that's been booked, Skatesman?
Oh yeah. I did hear that they're gonna fight, and that's fucking badass, dude.
That's a good matchup.
Sorry, hold on. It was Michael Spinks. In 1983, he defeated Dwight Mohammed Cowie.
Well, there you go. He finally found it. Give him a little bit of time. He's very good. I only found out about him when he KO'd Falcao, though now, so I was late to the party. Yeah. Northeast Coast X and Leon. Yep. Okay, so you knew in the granite. Why didn't you just say something?
No, it was Michael Spinks. They're brothers.
Yeah. Pedro El Cagoy. I've never seen this guy before.
What's up, Pedro?
Boca. Good to see you, Pedro. Vote for Pedro, guys. Guys, I was a boxing fan first. Oh, so he's a jaded boxing fan who lost his way. I grew up in a Beaner family, damn it. I'm the only MMA fan out of all family and friends. Wow. That's why I'm always here. Canelo's protected most of the time. Fuck him. Oh, so he's just dealing with the annoying thing of being in a boxing family. So he's trying to get away. Triple G hurt Canelo. I mean, at one point, but not any of the other fights. AJ, thank you. Canelo definitely protected. Yes, he is. There you go.
So Sean says Spinks, Jones Jr., then Arthur. Well, people forget that there is another lineage that goes to Michalczewski, and Jones Jr. and Michalczewski never actually united belts. So technically, Jones Jr. was never the lineal champion because he never defeated Michalczewski, who was unified. So that lineage is still kind of up in the air. A lot of people don't know about that, but yeah.
People forget, man. But by the way, Pedro's translation was half-baked event. So
wow.
I mean, it only has 7 fights, so I don't entirely blame him for saying that. But
he says Michael Spinks is Leon's son. I did not know that.
Huh?
Word. I thought they were brothers. My bad.
Like father, like son.
Word up. But look, I mean, like, we could turn this into a Canelo. Look, you guys got to get off of Canelo's dick. All right, like, I understand he's protected. He's this. He's that. Blah blah blah. But you cannot deny that he is that fucking dude in this era as far as his weight classes go. Of course, Floyd Mayweather fucking schooled him, but ever since then, the dude, he's the fucking guy, dude. Like, and okay, now he's taking easy fights that we don't want to see. Big fucking whoop. Floyd did the same shit. Go cry about it.
Yeah.
Canelo's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Of course.
Did a lot of work. I'm not sitting here trying to like protect dude, but you guys got to get off of his dick, man. I understand that he's not fucking taking the good fight. Oh, AJ's like, he's good, but not exceptional. Bull fucking shit, dude. He's a Hall of Famer. Like, what do you want? What do you want from Canelo? I know what you want. You want to fight Benavidez, Morel, anyone with a pulse that's not fucking Edgar Berlanga. I get it, dude. But like, he's in the twilight of his career. He's only going to box for a few more years. He's not going to take those fights. He just wants the big money, which again is bullshit. But you guys, I mean, you don't fucking go after other fighters. Like, again, like I just started the show with Teofimo Ryan, Shakur, all these fucking young dudes that like in between welterweight that don't fucking fight each other. Canelo's fucking getting older. He's like 10 years older than those guys, and nobody goes after those guys for fucking not fighting the big fights. Right. So it's like, why is Canelo like the guy that everyone likes to shit on? I just don't understand it. It's like anytime, like we're talking about Beterbiev and Bivol, and all you fucking guys can talk about is fucking Canelo. It's like, there's an awesome fight happening this weekend, man. Who gives a fuck about Canelo?
My question coming out of this is, how is it physically possible for all those people to be on Canelo's dick all at once? Unless he's got big ass dick.
Crazy. Ollie Williams says Gervonta Davis ducks way worse than Canelo.
That is true. He comes up with any excuse.
Roy Jones went up every weight class and won a belt. Canelo is a great boxer. I've liked Crawford better. I agree. I've never been on his dick skate. You know that. Well,
I have the picture.
One thing about Granite is he actually does give Canelo his props. He's been pro since he was 17. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The guy's still in his 20s. Canelo, no. Davis doesn't duck anyone. Oh, how come he hasn't fought Lomachenko in fucking the 3 years that fight's been talked about? Anyway.
We'll wait.
Well, thankfully, there's some other fights happening. Did you guys know there's some other fights happening? Not Canelo, not involving Canelo or fucking, anyway. We got this terrible mid-card happening. But you know what? We make picks for every UFC fight of every single damn card there ever was. And we're going to start off with the strawweight division.
This isn't the first fight. This is the first. I think it's like the second or third fight. I think there's one more below that.
Oh, really? Oh, my bad.
There's a few more.
Thank you.
There we go. Got to have every fight predicted. Come on.
We got a man named Clayton Carpenter, who I've never heard of in my entire life, going up against Lucas Rocha, another guy I've never heard of in my entire life. This is going to be taking place in the flyweight division of the UFC, opening the card. So apparently this guy, Clayton Carpenter, has a win in the UFC.
Artemis
Don't remember. Probably watched the fight. Don't fucking know. The guy's name was Juan Camillo Ronderos. He subbed him. Good for him. He beat Edgar Chairez by decision on the Contender Series.
There you go.
That's something. Had an LFA run. Got 2 finishes to get on Contender. That's good shit. Lucas Rocha got a win last year on Contender Series with a KO with a knee. That's sick. Another LFA guy got a decision in LFA. They don't even have the promotion for these. 24 versus 28. So you got like basically the finisher, a guy who got a finish in Contender versus a guy who went to decision, beat Edgar Chairez by decision in the Contender Series 2 years ago. It's a tough fight to pick, man. God.
Is the worst part of the job.
Let me look at their stats here. 5'6", 66-inch reach. Looks like this guy's got some submission skills, able to go to decision with Chairez, got some KOs and subs on LFA. I guess you gotta. He's got a sub 2 years ago. Fuck, dude. 7-0 versus 17-1. Interesting. Man, I'm gonna wait for Hank's analysis. Give me a little more info on the guys before I make an official pick.
I thought I was gonna go that way. I'm going with Clayton Carpenter by decision. Finally, a Carpenter named Clay who can actually win in the UFC again. Rest in peace, Guida. This kid from Arizona is already excellent in his grappling at a relatively young age, no Molina, and has dismantled his first 2 opponents in the UFC, surviving Edgar.
One of them was on Contender Series.
What?
One of them was on Contender Series.
Yeah, that is true. Surviving Edgar Chairez over 3 rounds, who has proven to be a formidable striker and grappler as of late. And then beating another undefeated young prospect on the regional scene in Juan Camillo Ronderos, who got quickly subbed by the Carpenter in the first round. Against Lucas Fernando Fenomeno Rocha, I think that Carpenter's going to excel in what he does best, given that Rocha has been taken down with ease by guys with mixed records and has looked pretty lackadaisical trying to get back up, as we saw in the first round of his Contender Series fight with Davi Bittencourt. He's also been stumbled on the feet before by guys who just aren't on Carpenter's level. So I think his KO threat on the feet is going to be isn't going to be all that scary as long as Carpenter plays it smart and can avoid his at times very sloppy striking. I know I've faded guys named Fenomeno before. Just ask Joel Alvarez, and had to eat my words for it. But Lucas just doesn't look the part, despite what his 17-1 record might tell you. He's way younger than Carpenter and has had all those wins come against amateurs in promotions that likely favored his flashy and quick style. Plus, he's shorter than Carpenter, meaning it will be much easier for Clayton to get him down. And given that it's not the easiest task for him to get up, he could very well get the back. However, Lucas's last name is Rocha, which means he'll be hard to fully put away. So I'm thinking a unanimous decision win for Clayton, where he gets Rocha down and effectively controls him for most of the fight. It's Clayton's world, baby. Fish and chips. Cheeseburger.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go with Clayton. By the way, and Ollie Williams is going with Clayton. I don't think I've ever seen him in the chat. Shout out to you, my friend.
Hello, Ali. I think he was also part of the raid.
Oh, sick. That's what's up. So the next fight taking place at the bantamweight division is Dan Argueta against Cody Haddon. Dan Argueta in his last 5, not looking so good. He's got 1 win in his last 5, 2 losses and 2 draws. I think one of them was says premature stoppage. Interesting. Do you remember this fight with Ronnie Lawrence?
No, I do not remember almost anything with Dan Argueta.
Okay. So, on the other side, you got Cody Haddon, who is undefeated in his last 5 fights. He does have 1 loss. Looks like he's out of Australia fighting in Eternal. Eternal is a pretty reputable promotion, Hex, and then Contender Series. Again, he subbed a guy named Billy Brand. I think yes. I watched this fight. Couldn't tell you anything about it. Dan is 31. On the other side is Cody. He's 26, 5'7". Both men are actually 5'7". Cody having a slightly longer reach. So, again, I don't know shit about Cody, but I do know that Dan, Dan looks sick in LFA. Very scrappy.
Yeah.
I think he was even their bantamweight champion, or maybe it was their featherweight champion. And he's just had a weird run in the UFC, right?
Yeah, weird style, weird performances as well.
Losing to Damon Jackson, to me, like, that's a good test for a young dude coming in. Beating Nick Aguirre, weird stoppage to Ronnie Lawrence, draw against Miles Johns, no shame in that. But then getting subbed by Gene Matsumoto, fuck, dude. Like, it's honestly so hard to pick Dan Argueta at this point in his career. He seems to have skills, right? Like everywhere, like decent stand-up. But I think where he really shines is the grappling, wrestling. But at the same time, like you see in the UFC, like it's just not up to par. I think that he actually has like high school wrestling accolades, but it just doesn't seem up to par. Again, I don't know anything about this Cody Haddon guy. I think that Dan, I mean, even the amount of fights isn't even like, it's like really comparable. It's hard to pick Dan. I'm going to go with Cody, probably by decision. It looks like he did get a sub win on his Contender Series, and he was just fighting a month ago. That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Shit, dude. Yeah. You might want to go with him by sub. Again, I don't know enough about Cody to confidently pick him by finish one way or the other. But yeah, I'm going to go with Cody.
Well, I'll help educate you on Cody. I am going with Haddon by round 2 KO. Let me give you a reason why. I'll make a bold statement here and say that Dan Argueta is not on Cody Haddon's level right now. He's got a nice pressure game, but I honestly think he's not that great on the feet and can be easily figured out once his grappling is neutralized a few times, especially if he's facing a scary grappler and power puncher in Cody Haddon. This kid gave the flyweight goat, Steve Carell, also known as Bedtime MMA, also known as Steve Erceg, a very tough fight in his amateur career. Showed better boxing than Steve Erceg. I know Skatesman likes that. And if Cody Haddon...
amateurs, who fucking cares?
Yeah, but he still took Erceg to a very close decision. And if Cody hadn't have gotten taken down in moments by Erceg, he might have eked out a decision against Astro Boy. which is aged like a fine wine since barring the miraculous boxing of Chemo Kid, Kai Kara France. Now he's facing another wrestler in Dan Argueta, and I don't see him getting out muscled here. His BJJ is too good for him to get subbed. This guy is BJJ as well, or held down for long on the ground. And if he even has a little bit of breathing room on the feet, I could see him getting the knockout on Argueta in the second round, specifically once he's figured out Dan Argueta's pressure timing. The determined Dan Arguetas will be determined to lose this time once his whole fighting approach is read like a book. Had an all day, baby. So this kid has power. He knocked down Billy Brand before he got the sub.
Good shit. The next fight is... Oh, go ahead.
And by decision, I just made my picks live prior to this. Good for you in the granite. Are you agreeing with my statement?
Yeah, I don't think we need to read all these comments.
All right.
So Corey McKenna taking on Julia Polstri. Julia is 4-1 in her last 5, losing her UFC debut to Josephine Knutson. I think Josephine is just like a grappler, lay and pray, right?
No, she's actually a kickboxer.
Okay. I got her confused with Nora from the BSD card. On the other side, Corey McKenna, 3-2 in her last 5. Both comparable age, both about the same height, but Julia having a much longer reach, which is interesting. So Corey McKenna, just not very good. I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen, I don't know enough about Julia. Apparently she got out kickboxed by Josephine, which gives me confidence in picking her. I think that Corey McKenna is not good on the feet, but she has pretty damn good grappling. Not like great grappling to where she's like, I would say like a finishing threat. For Julia, she does have a decision. She has a Von Flue choke against Miranda Granger, who I'm sure is not in the UFC anymore.
Nope.
Beating Kay Hansen, who's now an OnlyFans model. I mean, I would want to pick Corey just because I've seen more of her fights. But if you're telling me that Josephine out kickboxed Julia, who has gotten subs, looks a little more dangerous on the ground, I think I'm going to pick Julia by decision. I don't know enough about either of these fighters.
Yeah, I am going with Polostri as well, and I'm actually picking her by round 2 sub. How was this fight on the main card initially? This was like right after the opening bout of this card, which shows you just it's super high level of quality. These fucking matchmakers, man. Anyway, Corey's in the house, y'all, but not the one we all want. This Corey is a mid-women's strawweight fighter whose beaten opponents have all been fired from the UFC against actually solid competition in Jacqueline Amorim. She got taken down easily and armbarred, while Julia Polstri was doing nothing but taking strawweights down and subbing them before she got nuts on her face, courtesy of Josephine Knutson, and lost a close fight. I think Julia's still quite good, and she's not going to let Corey McKenna step all over her like a piece of upholstery. Like her nickname suggests, Polstry's going to go psycho mode against McKenna, slam her down like Poppin's umbrella got struck by lightning. Trust. Once she's got McKenna down, there'll be nothing left but the crying. I'm predicting a round 2 sub from Polstry and an eviction of Corey from the Tough House. So, give me Polstry. Easy.
Love it. All right, so next fight is Junior Tafa taking on this man, Sean Sharaf, The Smoke, in his UFC debut. He's fighting in Lights Out. What the fuck is Lights Out? I think I've actually heard of it before.
He got interviewed by the Schmo after his last win. So
good for him. Dude, I think Lights Out is the promotion that when I met Isha in Minneapolis, we were at a brewery and they were showing fight. It's so funny that like 2 MMA fans would meet up at a brewery and they'd be showing fights. I believe that's the promotion. So shout out to Lights Out. As far as Junior Tafa and Sean Sharaf go, I think if Sean Sharaf has any fight IQ, he'll go for a takedown. I don't know anything about this man, though.
I don't know anything about this kid.
It's so hard to pick Junior Tafa in a MMA fight. But let me tell you, if this fucking dumbass decides to kickbox with him, I think it's a higher likelihood that Junior gets it done. But again, it's just like it's so hard to pick this fucking guy because he's just shown in so many spots that he has no grappling. Knocking out Parker Porter a year ago, again, didn't take him down. Mohammed Usman lost to because he took him down. I don't know who the fuck this guy is in Ryzen that he beat, but I'm assuming he didn't take him down.
Wow. Horrible snatch up from Ryzen.
Lost to DeLima because he got leg kicked and then beat the hell up. And then Walter Walker subbed him with a heel hook. What the fuck? He fought in Risen though, so it goes to show you what happens. Yeah, Ryzen, Risen, whatever. Oh my gosh! Every time I pick Junior Tafa by KO in round 1, it comes back to bite me in the ass. But you know what? Let's go for it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm picking him by round 2 KO.
Price is riding me.
Yes, sir. I'm getting away from the Skatesman curse this time around. Dodged a bullet there. I'm going with him by round 2. Poor Sean Sharaf. He's killing it on the regional scene, getting knockout after knockout of heavyweights in worse shape than him. Just won another belt a month ago, and now he has to step up on less than a week's notice against a Tafa brother. Hey, maybe one of the Tafas will actually get a win this time around. Sharaf, although he is a quick knockout artist, is shorter than Junior and I think more herky-jerky in his striking, whereas the younger Tafa's stand-up is more technical and composed, if you can even believe it. His vertical stance will allow him to stay at range against Sean and hit him easier with shots coming in, likely resulting in moments where Sean is put off balance during his flurries. Since Sharaf hasn't been knocked out yet, I'm predicting both men go to a second round, where Tafa eventually catches him with a big counter shot, putting him away by TKO. The smoke's getting smoked at the hands of the Juggernaut, bitch! This man's the Juggernaut, damn it! You gotta believe it.
So the next fight, unfortunately, is go ahead. Read some comments.
Better believe. Oh, he's not better BF. He's better believe.
What's up, SS Jackson, my homie? Good to see you.
Nickname.
SS Jackson has been in a very furious debate with some people on the Rush Hour MMA channel over the main event of the boxing card. So I know what he's going with, and I hope that Beterbiev knocks out Bivol cold, but I don't know.
I'll get what we want.
So next fight is in the welterweight division. It's Niko Price, somehow still in the UFC, versus Themba Gorimbo, 170. Niko Price 16-7, 2-3 in his last 5, losing to the likes of Michel Pereira, beating Alex Oliveira, who's very old, getting knocked out by Phil Rowe and Robbie Lawler. I don't think any of these guys are in the UFC, but he beat Alex Morono. Fuck, that pissed me off because that fight was terrible. On the other side, Themba Gorimbo endorsed by The Rock. Lost to AJ Fletcher by sub in his UFC debut. What the fuck? Since then, he's been on a 3-fight losing streak, getting a knockout over Pete Rodriguez, beating Ramiz Brahimi or whatever the fuck. Now, I know that Themba's going to win. The question is how. Niko Price at this stage in his career, not a spring chicken. I think he is likely to get knocked out. He got knocked out by fucking Robbie Lawler, in a minute or two. So I think Themba's going to get this done by knockout. I'm hoping that he does. I don't know when, if it's first round, second round, third round decision. I'll just go Themba Gorimbo second round, kind of throwing the dart at the wall, seeing what sticks. I have no confidence in Niko Price.
I don't have too much confidence in Themba Gorimbo either, which is why I'm picking him by decision instead of knockout. The UFC allowed Niko to be one of the first to get hit with the new gloves, and now they've paid the price for it because he's still around. Price was also given a matchup that ended up being good for his frenetic high output style in Alex Morono, who has been way more hesitant, technical, and low output in his stand-up game as of late. Themba Gorimbo, meanwhile, is known as the answer to insomnia, at the very least. Outside of Pete Rodriguez, that one time, his specialty has been getting his opponents down to the ground and making sure they don't get back up. Against Price, this won't be a technical back-and-forth affair or a brawl, but rather Price trying to scrap with Gorimbo and getting taken down for his troubles for each and every round. Gorimbo's got that rock money now, so he can afford to have a more boring fight style and play to win instead of playing Niko's game in order to get a necessary bonus. I wish this was a bloody back-and-forth war with someone getting chinned, but fortunately it won't be. Gorimbo's too used to his carpet bagging approach, and Price is too used to being on bottom. Next fight, please.
Yeah, I think if this was a couple years ago, it would have definitely been way more interesting
Oh, yeah,
seeing
of
Niko
course.
Price in this spot. But yeah,
Both
at this
men are
point,
fine.
I have no confidence in Niko Price. Jonathan Pierce versus Pat Sabatini. Oh, the
It
UFC is UFC going to be more than across the board this weekend? What do you like, meh or like mid?
It doesn't even have good names, and they're not used to having fun fights.
Main event, sick.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
So
That.
nice.
Then
Yeah,
one or two.
Ollie Williams on the same tip as me. Shout out to you. So JSP, Jonathan Pierce versus Pat Sabatini, Grappler's Delight. Pat Sabatini, taking place at featherweight. Pat Sabatini is 3-2 in his last 5, and so is Jonathan Pierce. Jonathan Pierce on a 2-fight losing streak, but losing to Joannison Brito via ninja choke.
Right.
Whatever. No shame in that, if you ask me. And then losing that very close fight to David Onama. Was a good fight, but man. So Pat Sabatini's last loss was to Diego Lopez via knockout. Again, no shame in that. Subbing Lucas Almeida, losing to Damon Jackson by KO. Ooh, that's a bad look. But it was 2 years ago. Damon Jackson still had a lot left in the tank at that point.
Apparently, front kicked him in the face.
Sick. Yeah, Ollie says Sabatini by smudge decision. So I guess if you think that Pat Sabatini has an overwhelming grappling advantage against JSP, go with Pat. Let me ask you, do you think that Pat is like the more physically stronger of the two?
I think so. If David Onama can find a way to get the back and get on top of him, I know that Sabatini can get him down.
I think I had high hopes for JSP. He had 2 tough fights in his last 2. To me, like that, he could either learn off that or not. Both these guys similar age. Fuck, dude. I want to go JSP here, but I want to go Pat. I think this is a toss up. It's so hard to pick JSP coming off of 2 losses. I think that Pat has taken enough time coming off of that loss to Diego Lopez that it's not going to affect him too much. What is Fight Ready? Who else trains out of that gym?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm going to go JSP here tentatively. I think that it's a close one, but what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going with Sabatini by decision this time around. God, this stretch of the card is very interesting. I mean, this might turn into a decent fight, but and it's weird because like when you have 2 grapplers that are facing each other, sometimes it's actually a striking contest or it's a good little grappling match on the ground, like we saw with Levitt and Hooper. But I don't know. I don't see this one being all that fun. It's time to see who can wrestle fuck the other between Jonathan Pierce and Pat Sabatini. What a barn burner this will be. That being said, I think that Pat Sabatini will outmuscle Pierce if this is in fact a grappling contest. I mean, there were times where Jonathan was getting outgrappled by predominant striker David Onama, for fuck's sake, and Brito submitted him while on his back. JSP my ass. Man is not GSP. Pat should be able to get this schmuck down a few times and ragdoll him around for 3 rounds. Maybe even find a sub, but I don't trust either of these two with my life to get a finish. So give me Pat by decision. Pierce is taking a long sabbatical, courtesy of Sabatini.
So, like, you're just totally down on JSP. You think he's just terrible at this point?
I just think that if there are strikers that can out wrestle you in moments and fucking Brito can all of a sudden just find a ninja choke on you out of nowhere, I think that a guy who's like one of the best wrestlers he's dealt with is just going to ragdoll him.
Fair enough.
Styles make fights, and I think Sabatini's style's better.
So the next fight is CJ Vergara versus Ramzan, flyweight. CJ Vergara is 3-2 in his last 5, and Ramzan on a 5-fight winning streak, maybe even more than that. I'm just looking at their last 5. I don't have his reach available, but he is 5'5". CJ's 5'6". Tell me about Ramzan. I'm sure you've done some research and maybe even watched some of his fights.
Yeah. Well, he was in Ryzen, I believe. So
I see that.
You might have seen him a few times. I have him by round 2 KO in this fight. But yeah, this guy's been on a fucking KO streak in Ryzen as of late. He's just been putting fools out. I know it's Ryzen, and being a dominant flyweight at Ryzen doesn't always translate to the UFC. I mean, it's had a few select stars like Cap, but I think that this guy has enough finishing potential, and I don't think Vergara has dealt with a guy with this Tamarov's kind of power.
So the one thing that
good grappler and striker as well.
I'll say about Seed, what's that?
He's a good grappler and striker, and he's got power. So he's a complete package.
Good shit. The one thing I'll say about CJ is I've watched all of his fights in the UFC, and I think that he has made tremendous improvements. And not only that, like, he looks so much like buffer. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gotten into incredible shape as of late. He did lose that fight to Asu Almabayev, but I think Asu Almabayev is a hammer. I don't know, man. Like, obviously, you want to go with the Kazakh guy, right? I mean, guy's probably going to come in with a funny hat. Uzbek, sorry. You want to go with the Uzbek guy? He's probably going to come in with a funny hat. It's going to be sick.
Nice.
That's what they're setting him up for. I think that CJ Vergara, though, is a tough opponent. Do I think that he is like a world beater or ever going to be champ? No. Again, I don't know enough about this Ramzan guy. How many fucking fights does this fucking guy have? 17. Shit, he's got a pretty good record. Damn. I kind of want to ride with CJ in this one.
Go for it.
We'll see if it's a fraud check, but probably go with Ramzan, and just to be safe, I'll go with him by decision because, again, I do give CJ his credit, and he's only lost to Tetsuro Taira and Asu Almabayev by decision, which Tetsuro Taira subbed him, but we kind of see that he is a grappling ace. So,
yep, I am not going with the Skatesman way this time, troopers and grinders. I'm going with Temerov by round 2 KO. Yeah, this guy isn't CJ Vergara's standard opponent. The guy can actually finish other flyweights and is on a huge knockout streak in Ryzen going into this debut fight for the UFC. Vergara's not going to be barely out grappling or outstriking.
He only had 2 fights in Ryzen and they were both knockouts, so I don't know if that counts as a huge knockout streak.
But he's finished guys outside of Ryzen as well. But he's just knockout.
But you said a huge knockout streak in Ryzen. I just want to just say, hey, he's only had 2 fights in the promotion.
In general, sorry. He's not going to out grapple this Uzbeki Freakazoid to a split decision. If he gets clipped by Temerov on the back foot, he's going down, and Ramazan's scoring a nasty KO win. There really isn't an area where CJ's better than Temerov here. He's got better striking technique, power, and even has experience getting his opponents to the ground for some pounding. No diddy. If Temerov gets scrappy with CJ, I don't see Vergara surviving the onslaught or cracking to Uzbeki back. I think he gets sent down to the canvas and doesn't get back up. This guy's a monster, and he's coming from wins in Ryzen, which is based as hell. Oops, $10 for you, Skatesman. Sorry. Much like a certain Angolan-born schizophrenic in UFC's flyweight division today. This guy's the chosen one, and CJ doesn't stand much of a chance or fluke this time around. But I guess I'll give Vergara a little advice since he'll need it. All you have to do is dodge the damn Tamerlan, CJ. So, he's got to get himself strapped full. He's got to follow that train.
Dylan says, anyone getting 30-27 by Ode Osborne is on bar time. Yeah, that was like 3 years ago, though.
Yeah.
He has wins against an absolute bottom of the barrel. I mean, like I said, I've noticed pretty big strides in CJ's game. Interesting, though, like that he hasn't. I feel like there was a stretch where he was fighting a lot, and his last fight, and now he's only fighting like every 6 months, it seems. So, which I guess is quite a bit. But anyway, next fight is a very terrible fight that I hate. I hate this fight. I hate 185. The division sucks ass. It's Josh Friend versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Both of these guys are going to go in to punch each other. And I think the first one to land the big blow is going to win.
Yep.
I think that Abdul looked good against Cody Bumridge. And he unfortunately got a no contest because he elbowed him in the back of the head.
Over and over.
Just from that last fight alone, you'd want to pick Abdul because Josh got out wrestled by Andre Petrosky. And then before that, His last two, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Got knocked out by Roman Kopylov a year ago. Big fucking whoop. Before that, he beat Jamie Pickett and Sequidris Dumas by choke. Lost to Trayshawn Gore almost 2 years ago. So he is 2-3 in his last 5. Abdul is 2-2 with 1 no contest. Joe Pyfer, he got subbed by. Claudio Ribeiro, he knocked out almost a year and a half ago. Split decision, Joaquin Buckley lost and knocked out Alicio De Chirico with that head kick. That was sick. That was actually right after Joaquin Buckley got knocked out by him, I think.
Huh.
So Grant's telling me that Fremd has pillow hands. I don't know, man. I don't think he does.
He has huge power. I mean, look at that.
I guess he doesn't have a knockout in the UFC. Man, that's kind of interesting. I want to pick Josh Fremd. I understand that it's weird because Abdul actually looked decent.
Oh my god!
Last fight. Yeah, right. I picked him to win against Petrosky. I think I may have even picked. No, I definitely didn't pick him to win against Kopylov. But
no.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that whoever lands the big shot first is gonna win. We've seen Abdul get fucking knocked out cold and just like be dead before. I don't think that Josh Fremd has taken that same kind of damage. But I do think that Abdul is more of the vet. So if this fight goes long, you probably go with Abdul. So in that case, I'll probably pick Fremd by knockout 3rd round, the Skatesman way.
Yes, sir. Classic Skatesman. We love to see it. I got Razak by round 1 KO. Just don't be an idiot, and you've got this, Abdul. No elbows to the back of the head. No whining about Dricus Duplessis. No shelling up to Joseph Pfeiffer, and you've got this. The God-given power is there, and Josh Fremd is Josh Fremd. Make it make sense. Hassan, regardless of his negative fight IQ, is super powerful and quick on the feet, at least in the early stages. And Josh Fremd, meanwhile, never matches that energy in the cage and often pays for it. Hassan should find Fremd's chin as soon as the first round and use that judo thunder to razak Josh and put him out cold. Hey, maybe the ref will even allow back of the headshots too for this one. It is Josh Fremd after all. No one's his friend in the UFC, unfortunately.
Josh was never my friend.
Yeah, Josh
another fight that is just absolutely dog shit. Now, again, the fight might be all right, but as far as making a pick, how can you confidently pick either of these guys? So it is at welterweight. It's Daniel D-Rod versus the Great White, Alex Morano. Both men 2-3 in their last 5, but Daniel Rodriguez on a 3-fight losing streak. He's now 37, 6'1", 74-inch reach. Alex Morano on the other side is 5'11", 72-inch reach. Again, oh shit, Gracie Barr, the Woodlands. Sick. I've been to the Woodlands. North Houston. Shout out to North Houston. Dude, are you confident in picking either of these guys?
A little confident in picking one of them. Tiny bit.
I mean, I think if this was Daniel Rodriguez before the 3-fight losing streak, you would have picked him. But yeah, it just looked so bad. The thing is like I picked Alex Morano to beat Niko Price. Mm-hmm. And then he just
shit the bed.
He looked so terrible. I mean, and that fight was terrible in general. Yeah. I think that D-Rod has a nice jab, but outside of that, not much else. Mm-hmm. I think that Alex Morano probably has the better MMA game, but he is coaching now, and I think that that's somewhat of a bad look for his fighting. Just kind of switching to coaching. Man, this fight's so tough to pick. I got the chat kind of swaying me a bunch of different ways. D-Rod is less bad than Morano.
Good point.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Oh my god. I think that dude, I don't know. I think this is a toss-up. I'm gonna go with Morano.
All right.
Decision, unfortunately. But I'm not confident in that.
I'm going with Rodriguez by round 3 KO.
I hope he does get it done, dude. That'd be sick.
Me too, for the card's fucking sake. I think who wins this fight comes down to which fighters had better wins and more impressive performances and losses. Daniel Rodriguez beat Kevin Lee and Li Jingliang.
Where does Kevin Lee fit in all this?
He fits on the next season of Contender Series, totally. And also some random-ass regional promotion where he's subbed a guy. So Kevin Lee, he fits. He fits into not all of this, but some of this, at least. He was doing well against Magny all the way until round 3, and even found success in his fight with Kelvin Gastelum, I think, in each and every round. I mean, I think Gastelum got him down a few times, but I think Rodriguez was outpointing him on the feet. Alex Morono, meanwhile, has recently beaten Dirty Bird Tim Means and Court McGee, who were both at the very start of the early prelims for UFC 307. So great. Good for him. And with Court McGee, he just barely beat him. Like, he was getting taken down a bunch by Court McGee. Sure, he had a solid enough performance against Joaquin Buckley, but then he loses to Niko Price? Come on. How am I supposed to take this guy seriously now? D-Rod is going to beat Morono up with the most power he's dealt with since Buckley, and I think at some point he's getting put out. Later into the fight, TKO from the once great power puncher. Morono may be the great white shark, but it's Daniel Rodriguez who's smelling blood in the water this time around and showing the world why they call him D-Rod in the first place. No Diddy.
No Diddy, he says.
Diddy.
I want to play you a clip.
He did get a robbery win over the Leech. Morono could never. Yeah, he couldn't even get that far. Even though Leech was 30-27 for the Leech, in my opinion. Hopefully, D-Rod. Okay, so Deuceman loves himself some D-Rod.
Oh, yeah. No. I would love to see D-Rod win. It's just like I can't pick either man. Hold on, I gotta.
D-Rod. Does he have?
I gotta play this clip for you because I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh no. Yes.
But the biggest question is, where does Kevin Lee fit into this?
It's a good question. That was only a couple seconds. That's on his official YouTube channel too.
That's the biggest question, man. All right, so got Grant Dawson versus Rafa Garcia. Grant Dawson on a huge win streak at 155 until he ran into Bobby Green, and he got knocked the fuck out by Bobby Green. Before that, everyone was calling this guy boring decision guy, blah, blah, blah. Was on a sick win streak, beat Joe Selecki in his last fight. He is 4-1 in his last 5. Rafa Garcia beating Clay Guida by decision. Beating Mahashate, losing to Drakkar close. Jesse Ronson, not in the UFC anymore. Natan Levy, actually a decent fighter.
Yeah, solid.
I got Grant Dawson by decision. Possible submission. Not much to break down here. Everyone hates Grant Dawson. I'm still pretty high on the guy. I think his striking needs some work. I think maybe Rafa Garcia could probably outstrike him. But Grant Dawson, decision.
He is in fact Grant Dawson. And I'm going with him by decision, the Idaho Skatesman way, the Grant Dawson way, if we're being honest. I got him by decision.
He's got some subs in the UFC.
Yeah. And my brain I have a short-term memory. So this is yet another cut and dry fight on the card, and likely a boring one nonetheless, which is why I'm watching Beterbiev versus Bivol over this shit. Neither of these two guys knows how to get a finish as of late. Dawson lays on people and gets their backs without sinking in any chokes. And Rafa Garcia lays on top of washed fighters with little to no power on the feet. The guy's nickname is Gifted, but maybe that's just due to how he looks when he's spazzing out on top of his opponents with no rhyme or reason to it. Due to his lack of knockout power, he's not giving Grant Dawson any serious problems. Given that Dawson will more likely than not have the better wrestling ability.
Teleprompter skip there, you guys.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And boom goes the dynamite. Let's talk about new college sports. How about it? More likely.
You know what? I grew up in a middle-class family.
Yes, exactly. Have the better. Oh, yeah, that's right. And we need this bill to pass. We need this because it's good. This bill.
And I grew up in a middle-class family.
When I was working at McDonald's, anyway, have the better wrestling ability than Rafa in this fight. He'll pull a Grant Dawson special and get the hooks in on the back of Rafa Garcia, and some fucking how not find a submission or TKO for 3 whole rounds. What a promising and dominant contender he is. Mario Bautista says hi, by the way. I hear they're close friends. I don't know why. Right along with Mario Bautista, I think everybody in the lightweight division should follow Bobby Green's lead and do as this schmuck's nickname suggests, knock out Grant Dawson. It's in his nickname. That's what it says. As frequently as possible. Don't need this Gamrot shit at lightweight. Rafa isn't the guy to do it. Oh, well. That's a shame.
Yeah, next fight, Chidi Njokuani versus Jared Gooden. Another terrible fight on paper. Could be good.
I think it could be
Chidi, if a knockout happens, Chidi probably gets it done. Kickboxing career, Muay Thai career. One thing that sucks about Chidi is in his kickboxing fights, he always had this habit of like turning his back, which is like something you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So I think that Chidi is a front runner, a good hammer, not a good nail.
Mhm.
Anytime there's some adversity, he just kind of starts to fold up like a cheap
Good
suit.
point.
I think that Jared Gooden could implement some grappling and get it done. And that's the thing. Chidi's another one of those guys that's like, when he wins, you're like, dude,
He's great.
Chidi's shit. And he has a good personality. And you're like, dude, fucking Chidi. And then he goes on a 3-fight losing streak. And you're like, what the fuck? He did get, and like, if you look at the guys, sorry, this is at 170. Chidi 2-3 in his last 5. Jared Gooden 3-2 in his last 5. But yeah, if you look at the guys that Chidi's lost to, Gregory Rodriguez, Albert Duraev, and Oleg Sejcik, got a win over Reese McKee of all people by split decision 6 months ago. That's so bad, dude. Again, I think Chidi could win. I'm gonna pick Jared Gooden. I'm gonna pick him by decision. But honestly, don't really care about this fight. Don't know how it's gonna go. Just hope it's exciting.
Hey, I like that pick, Skatesman. I got Gooden by round 2 KO. This is one of those fights I tossed and turned on a little bit. Or actually, no, I didn't. But my pick seems like it's against the grain with a lot of guys who are picking this fight. I got him by round 2 KO. Not with Idaho though, because we are one and the same. Great minds think alike. Feels like I'm the only one on earth who's picking Gooden to win here. But is it just me, or has Chidi Njokuani never been all that good? He's fumbled the bag over and over and over again against the likes of RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. I get it. He's RoboCop. But even Mike McCall, freaking Oleg Sejcik, and he hurt him too, and he still found a way to lose that fight. The guy who can crumple to one body shot and get armbarred in a few minutes by Kevin Holland came back and destroyed Chidi within a round. Chidi then had a split decision win against Reese McKee, and he looked awful in that fight. Everybody's saying this guy looks so athletic. He's too athletic. He's too fast and powerful. He looked borderline geriatric against Reese McKee, who has not won a single UFC fight and fought 4 times for the UFC. He barely outpointed a guy with no technique or talent, in my opinion. And that's when you know this big, quick, athletic welterweight is actually washed his laundry, left in the machine too long. And Gooden, I think, has he's good. I think he has just as good a chance at getting a comeback as Mikhail Oleg Sejcik was. He got dropped by Wellington Turman and almost got submitted on the ground before cracking Turman back and finding a rear naked choke of his own. If he can get Chidi down to the ground, I think this thing's a wrap. He's terrible on his back and has gotten finished down there before. No Jones. So I can actually see Gooden getting hurt by Chidi at some point, like his opponents always do, before recovering, making it to the second round, and then dropping Njokuani with something big and finding a nasty ground and pound finish on the mat. Chitty bang bang's getting ran over by the night train. Rest in peace, my childhood.
Yeah, and like I said, I can see Chidi getting it done, like just some knockout. But yeah,
surprising amount of people going with Gooden. Fluke KO in the second or third. Hey, great minds. Anthony better than Chidi.
He's talking about his brother Anthony Njokuani, who is just totally washed and shouldn't be fighting at this point.
We shall see, Hank. Look at my picks later today and see what you're up against. Okay. I'll beat you. I got Gooden too. Wow, lots of people picking Gooden. All right.
Next fight is Brad Tavares.
Main event.
Doesn't need any introduction. Like, long-time UFC vet versus the Iron Turtle.
Yes,
Jung Park. Brad Tavares is 2-3 in his last 5. He's 36. Iron Turtle 4-1 in his last 5. He is 33. Losing that fight to Andre Muniz, kind of like Andre Muniz comeback after just looking terrible. Brad Tavares, though, man, and losing to Dricus du Plessis, losing to Bruno Silva, Gregory Rodriguez, not a bad 3 losses to have. But I think that Brad Tavares is largely past it at this point. Don't see him getting a knockout over Jung Park. Not to mention the fact that Jung Young Park has just like really good grappling. Brad Tavares is known to have good grappling defense. But I do see that I do see Jung Young Park getting him down eventually. And I'm going with Jung Young Park ground and pound TKO 3rd round. I think a decision is a safe pick, but I have a lot of confidence in the Iron Turtle, even though he is coming off of a loss. So yeah, give me Jung Young Park. Give me the Iron Turtle 3rd round KO.
I think you're gonna like my pick, Skatesman, because I got Jung Young Park by round 3 KO. Fuck yeah. It seems to me like Brad Tavares. Look at PayPal. Hey, we got $2.50 from good old Sean Moody.
$2.50. Let's go.
Let's go.
Thank you, Sean.
So I'm going with him by round 3 KO. Seems to me like Brad Tavares has lost his luster as of late. He got dog walked, no Izzy. But RoboCop by RoboCop, and most embarrassingly, Bruno Silva in hindsight. He had an okay performance against Chris Weidman, where he somehow made Weidman look good post-retirement. And other than that, looks mid against everyone. And I think the same thing's happening with him in Jung Young Park. Believe it or not, Tavares is 3 years Park's elder. And in terms of speed and accuracy, I think the Iron Turtle is way more consistent than Tavares has looked on the feet. It might be due to him getting knocked out one too many times, but he looks hesitant in the striking and often very sloppy. Again, he couldn't put out a washed Chris Weidman. Iron Turtle at this stage in Tavares' career is whooping him on the feet. His great takedown defense be damned. That's why I think he's going to get it done by a TKO against the fence, not on the ground. Park's still finding success because Tavares has almost 0 knockouts in the UFC. And in my opinion, Park was doing well on the feet against Andre Muniz and outstriking him. He was doing more damage, only for Muniz's nothing control time to steal the win from him. Seems familiar nowadays. So yeah, Korean Chad outstrikes the Brad. And I think finishes him from accumulation of damage in the 3rd round. Ain't nobody doubting Master Uguay after this one. So give me Iron Turtle.
We finally get to our main event. Almost 2 hours the show has gone. Fucking A. Talking about 2 events. What the fuck? Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. I'm not going to go too long on this fight, but it is at flyweight. Probably for number 1 contender spot. Which, again, if Brandon Royval wins, probably not. But anyway, Royval is 4-1 in his last 5, winning that split decision to get Brandon Moreno. Losing to Pantoja, getting a title shot that was maybe a little unwarranted, knocking out Nicolau, subbing Matt Schnell, split decision over Rogerio Bontarin. Not the best look, but it was 2.5 years ago. He is 32, training in Colorado. Tatsuro Taira, on the other hand, undefeated, 16-0. In his last 5 fights, he knocked out Alex Perez. He didn't really knock him out, but anyway. Carlos Hernandez, he knocked out. Edgar Chairez decision, where he kind of got exposed, if we're being honest. Jesus Aguilar subbed him. And CJ Vergara subbed him. He's 24. Again, I'm not going to go too long. Tatsuro Taira should win this. He is a -200 favorite. But, guys, I got to pick Royval. I got to ride with my guy Royval. I'm going to pick him by decision. I'm hoping for a finish. But, dude, I got to ride with Brandon Royval, man. I've always loved this guy. Love his fights ever since he's gotten the UFC. Guy comes to scrap. He brings it. That could be to his detriment against a guy as skilled as Tatsuro Taira. But as we saw in the Edgar Chairez fight, when you really bring the fight to Taira, he kind of has a hard time now. He's only 24. He's getting better. Again, like I said, he should win this fight. But got to go with my guy, Brandon Royval, man.
Nice. Well, I'm picking the Taira fluke win once again. I got Taira by round 2 sub. There are quite a few predictors out there, including Skatesman. We're picking Brandon Royval by decision and even by submission. But I think Taira is just one of those fighters that eventually finishes the job once he's on your back. People are saying, oh, even Pantoja couldn't finish Royval on the ground. Yeah, Pantoja hasn't been able to finish anyone on the ground in his last 3 fights for 15 rounds, 75 minutes of action. Brandon Moreno didn't take down Royval at all, and all he knew how to do was throw his dumb little overhand right in that fight. Tatsuro Taira, even if Royval pressures forward and gets the better of him in the striking, I think will eventually get taken down. And I think Taira is just a different kind of submission and finishing expert compared to Pantoja and Royval as of late. He'll TKO you. He'll sub you. I mean, he'll break your fucking leg with a backpack. This dude's just a killer when he wrestles. And just because Royval survived Pantoja doesn't mean he'll never be finished on the ground by anyone. He's gotten finished on the ground before by every fighter worthy of a championship fight. And I think that will include Tatsuro Taira. Royval,
I mean, to be fair, though, he didn't get finished by Brandon Moreno on the ground necessarily. He was due to injuries, shoulder popped out of its socket. But
yes, but he has been taken down by a few guys who have gone on to become flyweight champions. Royval's getting a royal beating when this fight gets down to the mat, and Taira's raw dogging him in the scrambles like his name's Millie. Botched until he finds the sub in the early stages of the fight, primarily round 2. And then Taira gets a title shot after Kai Asakura inevitably fails. He's going to respond with his trademark line, UFC, thank you! So, gotta go with Taira.
Well, there you go. That's the show. I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to work in the morning. It's midnight. So I got other shit to do. What am I doing in my life? We almost gave you guys 2 hours of fucking podcasting. Hank, let him know what's on the docket for you coming up.
So I'm thinking that Skatesman's going to try to stream something on Friday. Maybe, maybe not. And meanwhile, I'm going to have my Saturday fight companion for Beterbiev versus Bivol because I just like the names and they're having rematches of fights that have been proven to be good. So I'm going to be watching those. It should be a fun night, barring the musical performance. Which is
why can't you just put the UFC on another screen and just give updates?
I will do just that. Should I have like a split screen of UFC here and boxing on the other for like the thumbnail, or should I? What do I do?
Just put that. So this is what Jay does. He puts like the main event in a the bigger portion of the thumbnail, and then he has like the UFC in a little tiny corner over in the side. So you just put both in the title, and people will know what's up.
All right, sounds good. I'll try to do that then. So I'll try to do a dual fight companion for both. We'll see if my totally legal streams will allow such a thing. I'm sure they will. But yeah, it should be a fun night of action. Actually, morning, midday, fucking all day of action. Because God Almighty, I'm gonna have to be waking up at what?
So
11.
I'm deciding on if I should do Rise or Thai Fight on Sunday. I might try to do both, but I will get no sleep. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see, if anyone will attend. But anyway, that's it for us, man. I got to get the fuck out of here. Before I go, though, I just want to leave you guys with this one more time.
But the biggest question is, where does Kevin Lee fit into this?